I, for one, don't mind a franchise leaning towards a defensive guy in a league where it feels like every young offensive coordinator is cut from the same exact cloth, and paint by number, he's installed as the next whiz-bang head coach. I think it's cool that there's now some teams that lean defense. I think it's better that not every franchise, every GM, every owner thinks the same way. So a little diversity, even if not ethnically or background-wise, at least it is in specialization, never a bad thing. But I think the mild worry is that Jonathan Gannon comes off the biggest game of his season and gave up 38 points. Gannon's unit couldn't hold the Chiefs to any stops in the second half. And if Jerick McKinnon wanted to go in from 1 yard out, they would have given up 28 points in the second half after halftime with touchdown to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I realize one of those was assisted by the defensive holding on James Bradbury, but at the same time, that was the moment for the Eagles defense leading 24-14 at halftime to make its presence felt, and it got cooked. Now, you might say, well, you can't grade a defense on just one game, D.A., and also let's remember that you're playing Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and that needs to be taken into account as well. And that's fair. That's all fair. The Eagles finished this season with one of the highest-ranked defenses with both points scored, yards against, and sacks. But let's be perfectly honest. The Eagles' defense was known for sacking the quarterback. It didn't do it once in the Super Bowl. It had a 10-point lead after halftime. It didn't force one punt in the second half. And we can all point to Bradbury's defensive hold. But it was a tie ball game at 35-all, and the Chiefs got the kickoff after the Eagles just went right down the field, scored the touchdown to tie things up, and the 2-point conversion. At that moment, an Eagles stop, a sack, a turnover, or whatever, gives Jalen Hurts the football back with a chance to win with a field goal. And instead, they let the Chiefs go down the field. And even when the Bradbury hold happens, the Chiefs had gone all the way to the 15-yard line of the Eagles. So the defense in the most crucial spot of their season completely wilted. Their stats were awesome. They were awesome. And their playoff games, dynamic. But let's also look at the defense in the postseason. 8 up, Daniel Jones and the New York Giants with absolutely no wide receivers. 8 up, Josh Johnson and the 49ers because Brock Purdy got injured within the first 5 plays of the game. And then got absolutely bombarded by the Chiefs in the second half of the Super Bowl, the 38 points, the highest scoring Super Bowl of all time. I mean, not exactly what you're looking for in terms of, oh, well, he coordinated the best defense in football. Here were the wins last season for the Eagles. And I'm not sitting here telling you the Eagles weren't a good football team. But if you wanted to really dial in to who the Eagles beat with that defense, if you want to look at the defensive side of things, I think inarguably the offense was elite. They gave up 35 points to the Lions, 7 to the Vikings and Kirk Cousins, 8 to the Commanders when Carson Wentz was still quarterbacking, 21 to the Jaguars, 17 to the Cardinals, 17 to the Cowboys, 13 to the Steelers, 17 to the Texans. Then they lost that game to the Commanders. 16 to the Colts when they were sliding, lost, or I should say, gave up 33 points to the Packers, 10 to the Titans, 22 to the Giants, 20 to the Bears, and then they lost that game with Gardner Minshew 40 to 34 against the Cowboys, and then 20 to 10 against the Saints before they played the Giants B team to wrap up the season. I think the point is, it wasn't like they shut down a bunch of elite quarterbacks this season. It wasn't like they completely shut down a bunch of elite offenses this season. Now, everybody in the NFC East played that schedule, so they don't have to apologize for that. My point is that was Jonathan Gannon orchestrating a great defense, or were their stats great this year? So that would be my first concern. Second concern is Kyler Murray going to respect this dude? Because that's a huge part of the equation in Arizona. I'm not a Kyler Murray fan. I wish this wasn't a question. I wish just a franchise quarterback bestowed power and influence and money, just accepts that there's a new head coach in town and tries to work his ass off to make it work. But I don't assume that with Kyler Murray. He's a brat. So does Kyler walk into the season and respect Jonathan Gannon, who's a defensive guy who has never been a head coach before? Or does Kyler still insist that he knows how to do it? That he has the answers? We'll see. I hope that Murray grows up. I hope that he understands what a pest he's been to the people around him. And I think Cliff Kingsbury's a complete bozo, so you couldn't help but improve after that. But you have to get a buy-in from Kyler. And do you get a buy-in with a first-time head coach who's on the defensive side of the football, who's not going to work directly with Kyler Murray? I doubt it. I doubt it. We'll see. Kyler can prove something if he's actually willing to try to make this thing work with a guy that doesn't work on his side of the football and has never coached before, been a head coach before. But again, we'll see.